Time to slow down due to body pain. That's why there's Aleve, to keep you going. With just one pill, Aleve delivers longer-lasting body pain relief per dose compared to other leading OTC branded pain relievers. Aleve helps keep you moving from sunup to sundown with up to 12 hours of pain relief per dose, so you can keep moving and be ready for whatever's next. Use as directed.
S1.
Call your friends and ask how they doing.
To find FS1 on your television, go to foxsports.com for details.
Boom. Trust your eyes.
FS1.
I'm going to prove all the doubters.
When Dan Patrick speaks, you better stop and listen. Yeah! This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Paulie comes in, and Paulie was on a mission. He goes, I'm going to say it. I said, okay. Are you ready for this? I go, okay. The Commanders have the worst uniforms in the NFL. And I went, wow, I wasn't expecting that on a Tuesday.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ-FM in HD1 San Francisco, on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Live from downtown San Francisco, this is 95.7 The Game.
Yes, it is. Welcome in. It's a preseason edition of Overtime here on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Brandy, Sterling Bennett with you as well here on 95.7 The Game as we say good riddance to the preseason. Next stop is the regular season. Niners did get a win today at Levi's Stadium versus Jim Harbaugh, Trey Lance, and the LA Chargers. Final score 30-23. Niners get the win. They go 2-1 in the preseason, but as we all know, wins and losses do not mean all that much. We're going to key in on a number of individual performances. We're going to talk, of course, about key position battles. There's still some starting battles to be won and lost, and we'll get into some of the guys that we expect to see on the roster and not. This is Overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Saturday night. Again, I'm Mark Randy, Sterling Bennett with me. Sterling, next stop, regular season. How you doing?
Hopefully it's next stop, Jake Moody no longer on this team, because I cannot take it any longer, Mark. Every time, 5-6 last week, it just, every kick off his foot just sends me right to Nightmare Alley. But having a great Saturday, family's in town, and what a better way to end the preseason than with a win for the San Francisco 49ers. Doesn't matter, but it certainly feels good walking into the 2025 season, week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, of course you'd rather have a win than a loss. There's no doubt about that. I found myself, particularly in the second half, just rooting one way or another for the game to end as quickly as possible. That's generally what happens in week 3 of the preseason. Can you imagine we used to live through 4 of these a year, Sterling? 3 of them feels like 3 too many. We had 4 a couple of years ago.
I don't want to live through 2 of them. No preseason is fine with me. I get it. It's football. The NFL has to make their money. Guys have to get their reps. But the less preseason I have to watch, it might be for the best. Because I just don't know how much I can take of seeing Carter Bradley on a bad ankle, Tanner Mordecai on a bad ankle. It just, everyone's hurt. Wrap them in bubble wrap, and let's get to football that actually matters for the red and gold.
Yeah, I think the Niners made the smart decision. They didn't play basically any starters that have locked down starting jobs already. They played some guys that I think we can expect to start and have play major roles come week number 1. A big question mark is Dominic Pooney and his status 15 days from now in Seattle. At right guard, it was Connor Colby who started today, the 7th-round rookie from Iowa. He very well could be a week 1 starter if Dominic Pooney does not go. And one of the 2 starting safeties today, Sterling, I would imagine is going to start at safety come week 1 as well. Marquise Siegel and Jair Brown, they both started today. Siegel, the 5th-round rookie from Kansas State. Jair Brown, 3rd-round, third-year player. One of those guys is likely going to start at one of the safety spots come week 1. So, Sterling, we saw those guys battle for starting spots potentially. Other than that, we just saw backups and guys just trying to scratch their way onto the 53-man roster.
Well, on top of that, too, while the 3rd preseason game does maybe give you more backups, guys that maybe might be fringe roster spot players or guys that maybe practice squad guys, sometimes it is who does not play in preseason week 3 that actually matters. No Tatum Bethune tonight. That was a big one for me, a guy I'm assuming San Francisco views as their third starting linebacker. I talked about that last week. But yeah, you're right. Jair Brown, Marquis Siegel, both out there, guys vying for a starting job, assumingly alongside Jason Pinnock. So it was nice to see them out there, but on the same kind of wavelength. A lot of struggles tonight from San Francisco secondary, mainly out of the safety position. So despite them getting some reps, maybe you feel a little worse about them leaving tonight than you can coming in.
Yeah, one of the Chargers' scoring plays, it was the 25-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter that put the Chargers up 10-6. Tight end Oronde Gadsden, who was matched up generally with Marquis Siegel. Siegel was standing kind of in the middle of the field as Gadsden was running at him, and Siegel was kind of flat-footed as the tight end ran right past him. And as a result, Gadsden had some space. It was Jair Brown who ultimately, like if you watch the highlight, you'll see Jair Brown try to get there and swipe the ball away. He was the guy that kind of got pointed at as the guy that made the mistake there. For me, that was more on Siegel, Sterling. It was Jair Brown who was trying to recover and make up for Siegel's mistake. He was close. Good effort, just couldn't quite get there and knock the ball down. Ends up being a touchdown, but both safeties kind of end up getting beat in that moment. That is going to be a spot, regardless, Sterling, whether it's Jair Brown, who's probably the safer option, just because he has played more and the Niners generally know who he is. Safer, though, doesn't really mean a good option because he hasn't been very good, and there's a reason why he's going toe-to-toe with a fifth-round rookie as a Week 1 starter this year. Marquis Siegel, maybe he makes more mistakes, but in terms of the flashy, the big play, a sure tackler, maybe that's what you're getting from Marquis Siegel, but that's going to be one of the biggest questions, Sterling, I would imagine, facing Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh as we get ready for week number 1. It's going to be which one of those guys do they believe gives them the best chance just to survive in the back end defensively, at least for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, until you get some reinforcements back in that room.
I do believe that we did see a weakness that, despite maybe how great Marquis Siegel has been in his first 2 preseason games, his coverage skills coming out of Kansas State were always a question. How they utilized him in Kansas State was always a question. And I think tonight we saw that despite how good he may be in run defense at playing closer in the box as a safety, this team may be susceptible to getting beat deep down the football field if either Jair Brown or Marquis Siegel are playing free safety. So that's why you got to have guys like Jason Pinnock, veteran players, hopefully be in the right place at the right time, and maybe get Marquis Siegel not playing flat-footed, or having Jair Brown maybe flash more like his rookie year than his sophomore season did last season. But I think you're right. But on top of that, I loved what I saw from San Francisco's linebacking core tonight. Nick Martin was awesome.
He was.
For as bad as he was in that first preseason game, and a lot of reasons why that was, Nick Martin just stock up, and the stock broke the stock market itself. He looked awesome. He was making plays. He was great in coverage. He was laying dudes out, breaking up passes.
Even on special teams, he was hitting dudes hard.
Curtis Robinson, Chester, the linebacking core, I think, was the big bright spot of the defense tonight. Maybe the entire team. There wasn't much to talk about with the offense, which has been the kind of lingering question with things, having Brock Purdy and the starters not play much. However, that linebacking core, Robert Saleh has those dudes playing, and we haven't even seen Fred Warner yet, so I'm really excited to watch those guys come regular season.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were right. You're spot on, and I agree 100% in terms of who didn't play at linebacker. And, of course, Fred Warner not going to play. All-Pro Fred, best linebacker in the game. He's going to be one of your starters, of course. D. Winters has had a solid camp, and he's going to be your starter on base downs and on nickel. So he's going to be out there almost every single snap as well. And then base defense, when you're in 3 linebacker sets, generally when you're expecting run, the third linebacker is very likely going to be Tatum Bethune. All 3 of those guys did not dress for today's game, but you're right, there is even some depth behind those guys. Nick Martin, you're right, his first preseason game, it was not pretty. I think there was a lot to be excited about from that tape, but a lot of mistakes down the stretch of plays. He found himself in the right spots more often than not, just didn't make those tackles. A big step forward in Vegas last week, and another step forward here in preseason week number 3. But you also mentioned some of the others. I mean, Jalen Graham, Chaz Surratt had a moment here and there, and then Curtis Robinson, less than a year after tearing his ACL, had a pick 6. So you saw some pluses from those guys, which was very good to see. But Sterling, if we're asking about like levels of the Niners defense, defensive line, linebackers, and defensive backs, for sure, I am most confident in the 49ers linebacking core. So much of that is Fred Warner, but it's also everything else I've seen from those other guys all preseason long.
Yeah, I think we might be in a spot where Luke Gifford may not even make the roster now, which kind of is surprising. He started the first 2 preseason games, but the way Robinson played tonight, and he was in line to be a starter had he not got hurt last year. So the whole Devondre Campbell thing may not even have happened had he been healthy out there, which probably would have been for the better, but we didn't get that happening. But Robinson was great tonight. I don't know where Jalen Graham sits when it's all said and done, but the growth that we have seen so quickly from Nick Martin, to me it only shows that the more he plays, the better he'll get. And obviously not playing against starters against the Chargers and against the Raiders that much, but for a third-round pick that is kind of been touted around as being a third-round reach and just not a guy that fans maybe saw, someone you can get later on in the draft, a very quick learning process for Nicholas Martin, and he's kind of caught things and caught up to speed pretty fast. But I think you're right. That front 7 to me is going to be, it always has been, the identity of the defense, but now Saleh's back. The linebacking core looks not just 1-2 guys deep, 4 or 5 guys deep to say, hey, if someone goes down, things may not fall off the hinges just yet, which last year they certainly did. So linebacker core was great. Robert Beal Jr. was making some plays tonight off the edge, and Trevis Gibson, a lot of young guys that you don't expect big things from, trying to vie for roster spots in a game that, again, was rather meaningless. It's third preseason game. Who cares? Get it done. For a team like this that has more roster spots open than normal, this game does matter. Guys that may play some pretty serious snaps if someone else goes down, or guys that, like Sebastian Valdez, Ralford Collins tonight too, this game does matter, although, again, the outcome doesn't. This is a team that will carry 15, 20 of these guys that you haven't heard of or maybe aren't thinking too much of right now. So a big third preseason game for this team.
Yeah, and the next big date for the 49ers is Tuesday. I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific, which is cut down day in time. You got to get down to 53 guys. I will say you're going to see a lot of roster gymnastics leading up to that, but then also right after that, because the Niners have so many guys that are hurt. But depending on how serious the injury is, depending on where the Niners place them, they have to either be included in that 53-man grouping or not. So there'll be some guys that are not ready to play week 1 that have to be on that initial 53-man, but then right after they're on the initial 53-man, they'll be placed on a certain injury list, and then they hope that their guys that they cut that didn't make the 53-man make it through the waiver process. If that happens, they'll sign them back. There's a whole lot that's going to go on.
It's like a Zack Snyder movie, very convoluted.
It really is. All of that, the main point I'm trying to make, Sterling, is the initial 53-man roster that we will see at 1 p.m. on Tuesday, that's not going to be like the week 1 53-man roster, because there's going to be so many moves following this. It's just a question of who claims the guys that don't make your initial 53 and who gets cut elsewhere that you might want to take a flyer on and bring onto your team. So there's going to be a lot of moves here, and what the Niners are going to have to try to do, the challenge for a team that is in the situation the Niners are in, it is you have to be strategic with the guys that you cut. Obviously, you don't want to cut a guy that you really want on your roster, but you also are playing kind of a game of chicken with the other teams in the league. I'm going to cut this guy because I don't think he's going to get claimed around the league, and we can bring him back, add him to our roster when we put a different guy on an injured list, or add him to our practice squad and wait for him to come up and help us out in the regular season. There's a lot of moves to be made, but the next one to circle on your calendar is Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific.
Which San Francisco has kind of been bit by the roster cut down day in the last couple of years. Jarrett Kingston last year, late round draft pick, was claimed by Carolina. Cody Schrader, a running back that Kyle Shanahan loved and wanted to keep, was claimed by the Los Angeles Rams. So I know we see guys in preseason and they stand out and we like them a lot and say we want that guy to make the roster. So much goes into contracts, veteran status, who they think they can get through waivers and whatnot. Like, my mind goes to the offensive line. And Drew Moss better make this roster over Nick Zakelj. He looked good tonight. Nick Zakelj is a black hole of just, oh my God, don't play him. He's so bad. And look, I get it. They scouted him for 6 years and he was their guy. And he's a third string offensive lineman.
But he went to Fordham, Sterling. He went to Fordham.
He might be a smart guy. Well, he can Ford himself out of this roster because, my goodness, get him out of here. But that is a roster spot that may cause some issues where San Francisco thinks, Drew Moss may not get through waivers, but they want to keep Nick Zakelj because he can be a center and a guard. And that's what makes games like this so important, to kind of be that final proving ground for younger players, even veteran guys like Zakelj, to go out there and hopefully, whether it be secure a roster spot or maybe outplay somebody else, like Junior Burgeon tonight. Rookie 7th-round pick, punt returner the entire training camp in preseason. They go and get Sky Moore. He muffs a punt tonight, that being Burgeon, and it seems like his entire job is out of the door too. So much happening, so much going on in a game that, again, means nothing, but it's a small, minute details that San Francisco and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan must comb through to hopefully put the best roster on the field. And even then, the roster they pick and choose will not be the roster we see against Seattle on week 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're taking your calls and your texts at 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in anything related to the Niners. Obviously, this is overtime. Generally, we'll do a lot to break down the game that just happened. Little different in the preseason, a little different specifically in the third and final preseason game. We'll take a little bit of a wider perspective for this one as we get ready for that cut-down day coming up on Tuesday, and as we get ready for the regular season opener up in Seattle, which is just 15 days away. Hard to believe we're already that close. Also, I got my eyes on our YouTube chat, YouTube powered by First NorCal Credit Union, youtube.com/957thegame. I see a no. I see a Mish. I see a Eric, TG, and others. Thanks for weighing in. Keep the comments coming on YouTube. Sterling, you mentioned the offensive line, and you were quick to point out Drew Moss. Very well could have earned his spot on this roster with his performance today. The other big rookie on the offensive line that we all were circling coming into this game was Connor Colby. And if you're not quite aware who this guy is yet, wearing number 75, Connor Colby, 7th-round rookie out of Iowa. He started at right guard. Played, I think, just 2, maybe 3 drives. It was the first quarter. It might have been like 4 or 5 drives because all of the drives in the first quarter were 3 and outs. It happened so fast.
Gotta love it.
He played basically just the first quarter. And I don't know. To me, Sterling, every snap I was keeping my eye on Connor Colby, like above almost everything else. I felt like he held up pretty good. Now, it's against not the starting Chargers defense, but in terms of a 7th-round rookie, Connor Colby, I thought he had himself a pretty good day today.
Yeah, I think if Connor Colby's not the main backup for Dominic Pooney, or say Pooney can't play against Seattle week 1, it better be Connor Colby out there. I think he's done enough. Again, he's not perfect, 7th-round rookie. There is some pass protection problems, not picking up some stunts, but they knew that when they drafted him. He was a run-first, zone-running guard. You hope that can actually execute the offense, where we saw in this game a couple times where Drake Nugent, the 3rd-string center, or even Nick Zakelj weren't getting out in their pools right and getting in front of linebackers. So I think Connor Colby has done enough to not just climb the depth chart, but maybe has put himself in a spot to be a starter if Ben Barch or Dominic Pooney can't play. And I'll tell you what, Mark, I am fingers crossed hoping that they do not go with somebody else, because I don't have much faith in the guys behind Connor Colby to whether hold up or whatnot, whatever you want to call it, to either block for Brock Purdy or execute the offense well on the ground game, because this depth is a big concern. But Connor Colby has been one of the lone bright spots there.
I mean, if it's not Connor Colby, one of the only other options is Nick Zakelj, right? Like,
yikes!
And I know how you feel about him. I guess technically Drew Moss could be an option, but you play Drew Moss at left guard today. You're playing Connor Colby at right guard. If you're looking for a potential replacement for a week or 2 for Dominic Pooney, who again is out with a PCL injury to his knee, Shanahan said it happened last week. He said a few weeks. a few weeks puts him to week 1. We don't know if he's going to play or not. I would venture to guess no. That's just purely a guess and my read on the situation. If you felt like Connor Colby was not your best option there, you probably would not have played him at right guard today. You would have given the guy you thought was the best choice those reps. So to me, much like you're talking about with who did not play at linebacker, the guy that did play at right guard today feels like the guy that they feel has the best chance to help them, or at least not ruin things entirely on that offensive line from that spot.
And I don't think I'm wrong to think that in the future, having Dominic Pooney and Connor Colby be young, athletic guards for you as your starting guards is a bad thing. That's a great thing for San Francisco. To have a 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick win your starting jobs and hopefully be good. Pooney was excellent last year, and just like Dominic Pooney in his rookie season 2024, Colby has stepped up in the absence of veteran players in front of him and has looked rather competent in the few games in which he's played. And he's been getting first-team reps for about 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks or so. So it feels like they do like him a lot and trust him enough to be out there with the ones. And when you see him next to Trent Williams or Jake Brendel and Colt McKivitz, you only would expect a better play out of the rookie as well. So that's what I'm hoping for. Again, I do not want to live in a world where Nick Zakelj is playing right guard. In fact, I'd rather have Drew Moss be out there, an undrafted free agent, because those guys get out in front of their blocks, get out in front of linebackers, and can at least open up holes for Garendo, who had nothing to utilize tonight out of the backfield. So Connor Colby, I think, has earned Chris Forrester, the offensive line coach, and Kyle Shanahan's respect. And I think he will be out there week 1 if Dominic Pooney cannot be.
So, okay, obviously the Niners have a really unique situation this year with all their injuries. Generally, the Niners will carry, like 8 or 9 linemen, offensive linemen, normally. Yeah. We have a giant group that we know for sure will make this roster. Of course, it's Trent Williams, it's Ben Barch, it's Jake Brendel, it's Dominic Pooney, but you got to decide if you're going to put him on a list or not. It's Colton McKivitz. Spencer Burford will make this team. Connor Colby's going to make this team. So that's how many? That's 6. That's 7 at that point, Sterling. So if you were in charge of building the Niners' 53-man roster, the initial 53-man roster, are you carrying 8? You carrying 9? Are you including Drew Moss? Are you including Drew Moss and Nick Zakelj? Are you including one of Drew Moss, Nick Zakelj? I don't know who else. Austin Pleasance. How do you think the Niners ultimately go out with its offensive line group?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to carry 2 tackles. So Burford and Austin Pleasance, I think, are kind of slotted in there. I know San Francisco may have wanted to carry Andre Dillard, but he's hurt on IR, so that's out of the question. So I think you have Burford and Pleasance as your backup tackles. I know they've mentioned Burford can swing inside, but you don't want that to be the case. It's kind of like the break the glass in case of emergency play. You have Connor Colby at your left or right guard spot. I think they carry Matt Hennessy as their backup center. He can also play guard as well. And I believe Drew Moss is the 10th offensive lineman, where it really depends on where Barch and Pooney's recoveries are, but I do believe that carrying 10 really isn't a bad thing, knowing that Barch has injury history, Williams has injury history, and now Pooney's hurt. So carrying 10 may not be a bad thing. I know in the past it's been about 9 guys. I just don't think you can pass Drew Moss through waivers and get him back. Nick Zakelj, I don't know what team signs him back off of waivers, so that may be the option to go with. But I would carry 9 or 10, Pleasance, Burford, Colby, either Hennessy or Drew Moss being the guard/center back. Right?
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the back end of that room turns out, because that's going to be one of the major questions. Of course, if you're carrying 10 when you normally carry 9, and I think last year they might have initially carried 8, but again, there's so many moving parts with this, and you initially carry 8, you put someone on a list, you immediately bring in another, so some of these initial numbers are off. But if you carry 10 instead of 9, that means you got to carry 1 fewer receiver or 1 fewer running back or 1 fewer whatever, because you only can get to 53 guys. You're going to have an extra guy at one spot. You're going to have 1 fewer at another spot. So there is this calculus.
We have the solution.
Well, what is
You don't even need the kicker. Don't even put him out there. It's no point. You don't need the kicker.
Well, they went for it on 4th and short in field goal range, and their quarterback couldn't even turn around and hand the ball off, and they got caught for a loss of like 3 yards.
But that's not Brock Purdy. That's not Christian McCaffrey. That isn't Kyle Juszczyk. You don't need Jake Moody when you're inside the 30 with Brock Purdy and the starters, man. You will survive plenty of games without Jake Moody making kicks or missing kicks, because my goodness, I can't do it. I can't do it, Mark.
Let's talk about it. And 888-957-9570 if you guys want to weigh in. 888-957-9570. Jake Moody today missed an extra point, and then next time he trots onto the field, he's kind of getting booed. He makes the field goal. Levi Stadium erupts, the loudest I've heard it in a really long time.
For a preseason game.
For their kicker making a field goal seconds after they were kind of lightweight booing him. And then he follows that up by booting the kickoff out of bounds. And at that point, Kyle Shanahan and Brant Boyer, the new special teams coordinator, they can hardly hide their frustration. I don't know.
Kyle was side-eyeing him so bad.
I don't know, Sterling. I don't know what this all means. It feels like Jake Moody, in Shanahan's eyes, has 9 lives. Maybe he has finally run out. But I will believe it when I see it, because we've been through this song and dance over and over and over again. We're just a week removed from when he made a 59-yard field goal in L.A. or in Vegas to win that game versus the Raiders. A preseason kick, okay, does it mean all that much? No, probably not. Not when you follow it up with a missed extra point and booting a kickoff out of bounds to give the opponents the ball at the 40-yard line. I don't know, Sterling. Do you think we are finally at the time when Jake Moody tenure as Niners kicker has come to a close?
I don't discriminate versus anyone.
You do not get the hip hip hooray on the shoulders game-winning kick in Las Vegas when the fan base is like, okay, like, we're going to wait and see, but there is confidence growing, and then all of a sudden, it feels like all the confidence is zapped out of Jake Moody.
Yep.
The head's on the ground, it's hanging, Kyle's giving him the side eye, there's kickoffs going out of the sideline, and you're like, what happened? Like, do you need the positive reassurance? Do you need to kind of get yelled at to kind of get your confidence back up? Like, I feel like the fan base, Kyle, Brant Boyer, they're like the parents at their wits' end of like, I don't know what to do with my child. I've tried everything. I've tried the flashcards. I've tried the spankings. I've tried the timeouts. I just don't know what to do anymore because nothing's working. And unlike a child, you can give up on Jake Moody. You can let him go. You can say, hey, somebody else take him. He's up for adoption. Goodbye. Like someone else sign him. And honestly, I would not be shocked if San Francisco has some backdoor deal with Greg Joseph. We're like, hey, we're going to give Jake the preseason kicks and we'll see how things go, but that $2 million check is sitting there right for you once we cut him on roster cutdown day, because you cannot walk into the year with this. Every time he trots out there for kickoffs, for field goals, it is hold your breath, wait and see, and it feels like more often than not, it's a miss. It's out of the sideline. It's out of bounds. This is a fringe playoff team. And if that playoff appearance relies on the leg of Jake Moody, they're not going to make it. And that's terrifies me as a fan of this team. You cannot put your playoff hopes on the leg of Jake Moody. You cannot do that.
Yeah, no, like a questionable kicker is obviously never good, but if you are a world beater, like you can survive without it. Like maybe it'll cost you a game, but if you're winning 14 games anyway, 13 games anyway, it might not matter all that much. And that's kind of what happened 2 years ago for the 49ers. Like Jake Moody missed a makeable kick in Cleveland, and it was, not great weather, but the Niners were 5-0 at that time, right? And they had rolled through the majority of the regular season and all of that. So like you can survive that if you are the best team in the NFL. But if you're the Niners, who have aspirations of winning the division and making a run in the playoffs, certainly they have that, but it's not as nearly as wide of a margin as they did 2 years ago. Like, this is going to be tight. Like, I would not be shocked if the division comes down to the final 2 weeks of the regular season. That's how I think tight this division is going to be. And when that is the case, that's the reality that you're looking at with your team entering a season You cannot go into a year where you tried out your kicker for even like a 35-yard game winner and you're uncertain if he's going to make it. That has to go in every single time. Like Dicker the kicker for the Chargers today, Sterling. I mean, he just makes the 50-yarders like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. Carlson last week for the Raiders, same exact thing. You trot him out there anywhere inside of 55 yards and you feel like, okay, this is going in no matter what. And for Jake Moody, he gets outside of 30 yards, and I would not be shocked if he misses this. And for a team that is on the knife's edge as much as this Niners team is, you just can't have that. I'm with you. I don't think he can be the kicker anymore.
It's enough to have to scheme and game plan an offense and a defense, but when you have to almost scheme if you can use your kicker or not that day, it's like do you just deactivate him for a game day and elevate Robbie Chosen Anderson, or you bring up Jeff Wilson Jr., you go and you keep Nick Zakelj instead? Like, it's getting to a point where, like you said, whenever he goes out there, 35 yards, 30, even a PAT, you do all the work as an offense to go out there, get a touchdown, you march 75 yards, 65 yards downfield, whatever it may be, do the job. Get the end zone. Awesome. Touchdown. You would like to think it's a guaranteed 7 points. Then, nope, it's only 6, and now you're down by 4. Like, that can't happen. And for Kyle Shanahan, I look, third-round pick, I get it. You don't want to look dumb, and you don't want to look stubborn. You've already looked dumb enough. The guy that was playing quarterback for the team opposite you tonight made you look dumb because you picked him 3 years ago and it didn't work out and it cost you a Super Bowl. Cut the kicker. Yep. What do you have to lose? A couple $1 million? Who cares?
Yeah.
Like Al Guido was talking about $200 million acquisitions to the Levi Stadium. If you want a new billboard, you can cut Jake Moody. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you made a bad investment does not mean you go and buy more shares of that same investment. Right. Like, you can just sell and cut your losses, and we can move on and start over. Like, yeah, that was still a loss.
No one's buying Internet Explorer stock anymore. It's over. Let it go, Kyle. Let it go. It's done. Google, brother.
just bring Greg Joseph in. We can talk more about that. A lot more to get into. We got to talk about the running back room as well, Sterling. I know the Brian Robinson Jr. trade is not yet official, but we got to talk about that before we get on out of here tonight. Isaac Guerendo made his preseason debut today. Didn't look great. Also looked like he might have aggravated that shoulder injury again. We can get into that. Running back room is a big question mark as well. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Plus, Kyle Shanahan has addressed the media in Santa Clara. We will hear that before we're out of here tonight as well. This is Overtime, the final preseason edition in 2025. That's Sterling Bennett. I'm Mark Randy. We're back with more next on 95.7 The Game.
This Labor Day weekend, we're celebrating Bob's Discount Furniture's 200th store milestone with the entire Bob's family across the country. For more than 30 years, we've believed everyone deserves the home they love. That's why we brought our everyday low prices on furniture, mattresses, and more to over 200 locations from coast to coast and counting. Not to mention free treats for the whole family in our cafes. Celebrate Bob's Discount Furniture's 200 store milestone this Labor Day weekend. Oh, my Bob!
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Hey, it's your boy Guru. Every time we put a rat on the table during our show, it's brought to you by Atco Pest Control. Atco Pest Control is a family-owned local business proud to provide pest control in the Bay Area for over 35 years. Atco uses natural methods to give you a peace of mind and keep your family out of harm's way. Quality pest control doesn't have to empty your savings either. Don't wait. Go to AtcoPestControl.com for all your pest control needs. They got you covered.
When back to the office means back in traffic.
It's a crash blocking the 2 right lanes and traffic is starting
to the traffic leader, KCBS.
Standing water in the roadway, that's causing quite a bit of a
Now is the time for a new Accord. Get a great deal during the Honda Summer Event. Brought to you by your Northern California Honda dealers.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic, semaglutide injection 0.5 milligrams.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Another teenager, victim to fake pills bought from social media. This doesn't seem like a drug deal, but it definitely is. Should buying prescription pills be that easy? Many fake pills contain fentanyl, and an amount small enough to fit on the tip of a pencil can be lethal. So listen, before buying pills from social media, think again. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org and go for real. Brought to you by USPTO and the National Crime Prevention Council.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Second down and 5. Uyunglele going through the progression and throws it right to Curtis Robinson. Robinson all the way back for a 49ers touchdown.
I am so happy for Curtis Robinson. You know, Guy, I am a firm believer that good things happen to good people.
Now back to 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, welcome back. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. That highlight you just heard, Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan on KPIX. How about that? Pick six, go-ahead pick six in the fourth quarter by Curtis Robinson. Tore his ACL in practice on September 27th of last year. That put the Niners ahead by 7. They ultimately win the game by 7. 30-23 was the final score. Really cool moment there, Sterling. We do not know for sure if Curtis Robinson will make the team. Regardless, though, one way or another, coming off of an ACL tear, that's a moment that I'm sure he's not going to forget for quite some time.
Well, to add to it, right in front of Navarro Bowman, famous pick at the at the stick. Like, I mean, why not? What a great moment for him. You saw Johnny Holland, the linebacker coach, go up to him, give him a big hug. You saw Fred obviously celebrating with him too.
I mean, that looked like Fred.
Been here for about,
it looked like Fred versus a different LA team. That looked like Fred versus the Rams.
What circa 2019 against Jared Goff?
Yeah,
the big comeback with 2 3rd and 16s to make the win. With the kicker that could actually make game-winning field goals, Mark. But yeah, what a great moment for Curtis Robinson. And again, like pushing for one final opportunity to make the roster. He is not, I believe, practice squad eligible. So it's either roster or nothing for him. So a big moment to kind of cap off his preseason.
Yeah, cool to see there. We also got to see a Tariq Owens touchdown. Yeah. And Guy Haberman went into the Owens on the call, which was a cool moment. Tariq Owens on the Niners playing, and then Brendan Rice on the Chargers playing on the other side. Jerry Rice was in attendance. I don't believe T.O. was, Tariq's dad, the great T.O., but Jerry Rice in attendance, as he is for like every single Niners game at Levi Stadium. Cool that Brendan Rice on the other side and T.O. on the Niners side. I mean, two of the best wide receivers of all time, maybe the two best wide receivers of all time, Sterling, and their sons playing in this game. That was cool.
that to me is probably the ultimate father-son moment. You have Ken Griffey and playing with his son and everything and whatnot, and those moments they shared. But to be in the stadium, or at least with the organization that you are a legend of, watching your kids play against each other, I'm sure it was great for both those guys. Again, Tio probably wasn't there, but I'm sure Rice was there, chain in hand with the Big Niner helmet on, out there cheering his son on. He didn't catch a touchdown, but still a very nice moment for both the juniors, if you will, of those two legends.
Yeah, Tariq Owens caught a 22-yard touchdown pass from Carter Bradley. Carter Bradley's dad also in attendance.
Dude, stop.
Because he's on the Niners coaching staff, Gus Bradley. I'm curious what the Niners are going to do in the quarterback room, Sterling, because we were talking earlier about the 53-man roster. You got to get down to 53 guys come Tuesday at 1 o'clock Pacific, and there's going to be a lot of movement right after that as well. Once you have guys pass through, the claim system, and you can put guys on the practice squad and yada, yada, yada. They might just go with 2 guys at quarterback to save a roster spot, and then whichever one passes through, maybe both of them do, they get their pick of the litter of Mordecai and Bradley. If they end up having the ability to choose between Mordecai and Bradley, and they choose Bradley, I don't know how else to explain it other than nepotism, Sterling, because Tanner Mordecai has had a much better preseason than Carter Bradley. Bradley's been a lot better the last 2 preseason games than he was in game 1, but Mordecai, I think, clearly has been the better quarterback.
We'll see how Bradley's ankle holds up, but right now they may have to choose whoever has the healthiest ankle of the 3 right now. But if Carter Bradley makes the roster, whether it be the practice squad or the actual active roster on game day, Gus Bradley, we know what you're doing behind the scenes. Because I think the passer rating is 55 for Carter Bradley and 111 for Tanner Mordecai, which isn't the most ideal way to kind of evaluate your quarterbacks, but it's pretty clear that Tanner Mordecai, being in the system last year, being on the roster last year, if someone by any chance needed to step in, I think the fan base, although they wouldn't trust either one of those guys, would much rather see Tanner Mordecai out there than Carter Bradley, because every throw is behind somebody. It's high, it's low, it's everywhere but the receiver's hands. It is very scary, but Gus Bradley, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, Gus. Flexing his muscle just a little bit to get his son on the Niner roster.
I brought in Dallas Flowers. I brought in my son from the Indianapolis. Let's go.
We'll see how it all plays out. That's quarterback 3. The only time quarterback 3 has ever mattered, basically, is Brock Purdy. Neither of these guys are going to be Brock Purdy. If it gets to either of them, whether it is Mordecai, whether it is Bradley, the season is probably over anyway, so this does not matter all that much. You hope you never have to see either of those guys in a regular season game, but I'll be keeping my eye on whichever guy, whether they make the 53 or whether they get added after the fact or they make it through the claims process. We'll see. It's going to be Mac Jones as the quarterback too, 100%, and of course Brock Purdy is this team's starter. It's nice to not have a lot of quarterback drama after years of it here in San Francisco. There is, though, Sterling, some drama in the running back room. We got to see Isaac Guerendo, back today, making his preseason debut. He started, got 8 carries, only had 13 yards. That's 1.6 per carry. Also, oddly enough, Sterling, he was playing as a gunner on punt coverage.
Yeah.
And when there was the first of, 3 muffed punts in this game, 2 by the Chargers, 1 by the Niners, maybe it was the second muffed punt, the first by the Chargers, he was down there trying to recover the football, and in the scrum, diving for the ball, looked like he might have re-injured that shoulder that kept him out from the first 2 preseason games. He kind of limped off to not limped, but he was favoring that shoulder and went off to the sideline, eventually came back in and took a couple more carries. But even when he was healthy, Sterling, this was not a very good display for Isaac Guerendo. When you add Brian Robinson Jr. into this room, I don't think it means Guerendo won't make this team, but you really begin to question where Guerendo fits in as one of the featured backs potentially on this roster, because the way he looked today, I mean, that does not really scream I'm confident in him going forward in the regular season.
Yeah, I don't know if we can evaluate running backs well enough without watching them behind the starting offensive line. I think that's a little unfair. But you're right. Grendo didn't do anything. For a guy that has 4.3 speed and is supposed to be your one cut back, granted there was nowhere to cut most of the time. It just felt like he was stuck in the mud, and whether it's because of the shoulder or because of something else, Grendo, for a guy that perfectly fits this offense in regards to how he runs, the wide zone offense. I don't know if we have the sound. I'm sure we'll get to it later via Kyle Shanahan, but he gave a pretty clear-cut answer as to who this RB2 will be on the roster. And hint, hint, it's not going to be Isaac Grendo. So that's a pretty big indication as to where the drama is right now. And I don't know if that's because of the injuries with Isaac Grendo and his stock falling down, but clearly the move was not just made for another back in that room for Brian Robinson. They have a pretty good idea as to how they view their new acquisition with Christian McCaffrey and Isaac Grendo and Jordan James in the fold. Brian Robinson may be a heavily featured item behind CMC this year.
Do you want to hear the full Shanahan postgame?
Sure, why not? Give the people what they want.
You seem a little hesitant. All right, this is about 5.5 minutes of Kyle Shanahan postgame in Santa Clara today. I'm sure included in this is the comments that Sterling is referring to about the running back room. Here is Kyle Shanahan addressing the media after the Niners' 30-23 win over the Chargers to close out their preseason slate. Here's Shanahan.
All right, guys. Injuries from the game. Isaiah Prince had a knee, didn't return. Braden Wilson, neck, didn't return. Tanner Mordecai had an ankle. He did return. Jacob Robinson had a forearm. Go ahead.
I didn't assume what?
Sore back.
Do you have an idea of how long Jacob Cowing is going to be out with his hamstring?
A while. Yeah, he pulled a Foley. It was the same one, so I think they told me like 6 weeks to start. So.
Impressions of Sky Moore before the trade and the last couple of days as well?
I was happy to get him. He was a guy that we liked in college coming out. Thought he did a good job tonight, especially just coming in a day ago. Was able to learn enough to line up and do some third down stuff, play the F role for us, and thought he did a decent job with the returns also.
How do you see Brian Robinson fitting in?
And we brought him here to be our two back. I've always been a big fan of Brian. Loved him coming out of college. He's done really well going against him, and we were pumped that he was available, and we were pumped that we were able to get him.
How do you think about the struggles that you guys have had with special teams, and then you come into preseason and the last two games, special teams has played a huge role in the production and winning. Just your take on the direction special teams is moving in, given what it was last season.
Well, we'll see in the year. I mean, it was just preseason, so nothing really counts now, but I was happy how we won it on a 59-yard field goal last week, which I've never been on a team that's made one of those, so I thought that was a big deal, and I thought they did some good things today, too. So hopefully it'll continue into the year.
How close is Jordan James to coming back?
He's pretty close. Yeah, pretty close, week to week.
Looks like Jeff Wilson had a couple really nice blocks. Did you see that today? And what are his chances of making this final 53?
Jeff's got a shot. I mean, love Jeff. Been one of my favorite players over the years, and it was great to get him back in here. Thought he's done a good job. Thought he's gotten better each week. Just getting back into camp, and thought he made some good cuts tonight, and definitely was going to make it hard on us.
Do you guys have to consider what you do at the kicker position, considering kind of the up and down nature of how Jake has been?
I don't know. I thought he had one of the best games I've ever seen a guy have last week. I know he missed an extra point today, which definitely doesn't make us happy, but we'll see how it goes in the year. I know he's a talented kicker. I know he's done some really good things for us. He had a rough last 7 games last year, but I think he's had a real good offseason and a real good preseason also.
It's been almost a month since Jauan last practiced. Is he in jeopardy of missing week 1, or what are his chances?
I can't hear you.
Is he in jeopardy of missing week 1?
If it doesn't heal, yes, but I expect him to be back. I think he should be back from it, but you never know with calves.
When it comes to Nick Martin, obviously a young rookie, right, trying to understand the plan here and the playbook, but Robert Saleh has been really big on the fact that he plays with so much violence. To kind of see him seemingly settling in and being able to make those plays, especially today, just What do you think his upside is with this team?
And we love guys who run and hit, but there's a lot more to football than just that. But that was the thing that we liked about him the most, and I think we see it in practice a lot, but I think you guys can also say you've seen in these 3 games that each game he's gotten better. There's been more of those clips and less mistakes, and I think he's got a real high ceiling, and I love how he finished out camp. I love how he finished out today, and expect him to get better and better as the year goes.
I guess you have one more practice before the cut to 53, but just like big picture, when you look at where you guys have started, all the stuff you've been through up to this point, how do you feel right now about where this team is heading into the regular season?
I feel that we've done as good as we can with the time we've been allotted. We're just getting to week 1, and you spend all this time to figure out your 53, but it's like I tell our players, the final 53 is never the final 53. That's just the first week of the season. It changes throughout the year. We got to pick out 53 here in a couple days. We got to figure out our 16 practice squad guys. We got to find out who's healthy, who's going to go on IR, who's going to be on PUP, things like that. So there's still a lot to work on. We'll make those decisions on Tuesday, but we're not going to stop making them as the year goes.
Were you able to talk to Trey at all?
I didn't get to see Trey. Looked for him after the game, but didn't get a chance.
You expect to get anybody back in practice this next week? Michael Williams up to Stout.
Really hoping to get those guys back. I mean, they haven't guaranteed it to me, but I think we will. But I won't know that officially till tomorrow. I know a lot of them had workouts today, and that's something we'll discuss tomorrow when we come in.
Can you kind of speak to Jeff Wilson and his production out there, really being able to run the ball today, and just how he settled in with the team?
Yeah, Jeff, just like what I was saying earlier, Jeff got better each week he was here, and thought he ran like his old self today, and we love Jeff, and he's going to make that real hard on us. So we'll have a tough decision with him on Tuesday.
Did you expect Jauan's calf to be this severe when he re-aggravated it earlier in camp?
I'm not a doctor, so like I said, calves take time. You never know with calves.
Jacob Robinson returned to the game with the forearm injury, or was he out?
It was at the end of the game, but I think he broke it, so he didn't return.
You think he broke his forearm?
Yeah, I do. I just got that before I came in, so I'm going to x-ray it for sure and everything, but that's what it sounded like.
All right, that's Shanahan. Post-game earlier tonight, down in Santa Clara after the Niners beat the Chargers 30-23. Welcome back to Overtime. I'm Mark Randy, Sterling Bennett with you. Sterling, there's a lot there from Kyle Shanahan. A lot there from Kyle Shanahan. We were just talking about Jake Moody and the kicker. I think it's telling. He was asked, I think it was Matt Mayoko, do you have to make a decision about the kicker spot? And he begins answering that question by saying, I thought he had an amazing and incredible week last week. If your first thought and the first words out of your mouth about a question about a kicker struggling, and if you need to make a change there, is he was amazing last week, it seems to me like there's no part of him that wants to make that move. And it feels to me like Jake Moody will be this team's kicker this season.
If you have to go week by week with your kicker, that person should not be your kicker. That's a pretty clear assessment of what things should be like. Like, you wouldn't do that for a quarterback unless your top guy is injured and you don't know who the backup is. You wouldn't do that for your running backs. You wouldn't do it for your receivers. You have set guys in place for reasons like this. And Jake Moody has never... He was the worst kicker in the entire league. I know he was hurt last year. I don't care. He was a 70% kick percentage. That was the worst thing in football. And we're talking about, yep, we feel pretty confident in Jake Moody coming in 2025. He's our kicker. Like he's not going to miss the first one against Seattle on the opening weekend. It's going to happen, and we're all going to say, well, could have seen that coming, but Kyle and John obviously couldn't do it. It's like self-sabotage, but they have no idea it's actually happening. It is mind-boggling. Like, whether it's Jed or somebody needs to be like, look, Kyle, John, I get it. Third-round pick, it all makes sense, but, like, let's just... We can lose on this one. If we don't decide to lose here, you're going to lose a heck of a lot more as the season goes on.
Yeah, we got this text that came in on the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. The 989 writes, since you're ready to cut Moody, here's a history lesson. Washington had a kicker named Kai Forbath when the Shanahans were there. They cut him after a rocky season early in his career. He went on to be an 88% accurate kicker after that. Who's the replacement? 40-year-old Greg Joseph. What happens when they need to replace him in a couple of years? You go out and sign a different kicker. Like the kickers, you can have the elite kickers, like not anymore, but the Justin Tuckers of the world, those are guys that don't grow on trees. But like the next tier of kicker grows on trees. Like, how many times does a kicker get injured, misses a couple of weeks, the team has to find a replacement, goes out to the streets and signs a free agent, and that guy kicks better than the team starter before they got hurt? It happens all the time. Brandon Aubrey now might be the best kicker in the NFL. He was an undrafted rookie. The same year the Niners traded up to draft Jake Moody in the 3rd round. Like, kicker is the most unique position in football because literally quality kickers grow on trees. There are too many quality kickers for teams in the NFL. Like, that's how it's always been. You can go out and find a replacement level kicker any time of the season, and you will be fine. You will be okay. They will not sink your season. Will they be amazing? No, they're not going to be Justin Tucker level, but they will be honestly replacement level.
Why are we treating kickers like developmental quarterbacks? You don't carry 3 of them and hope the guy works out in a year or 2 on the bench. You have to be good from day one. Like, we're acting like Jake, a 3rd-round pick quarterback. He can sit behind, Greg Joseph and Robbie Gould for a year and let's hope thing works out. No, you carry 1 kicker a year. You don't practice squad them. You don't redshirt them. It's either you're good or you're not. And sometimes cutting a bad kicker, they turn their career around and it works out for them. That's great. That's awesome for those very minuscule number of kickers. But this Niner team, in this day and age, with this current roster, needs to have a kicker they can trust. Games are going to come down to 1 point, 2 points, 3 points. This team, well, yes, can be a really great team and win the NFC West and maybe surprise some teams in the playoffs. They are not going to be dog racing teams like 2023, like 2022. It's going to be a tougher and harder road to win football games, knowing you have a really young defense, some young offensive players, not having your entire wide receivers out there for the first handful of weeks to begin the year. You got to have a good kicker. And yes, Jake Moody, if he's cut, may go to Washington, may go to the Texans, may go to the Jaguars and have a 15-year career and be a Hall of Famer. That's great. And we'll look back and say, oh, what a miss by San Francisco. Guess what? It's about right now. You don't get to wait until next year. Jake Moody has never been a good kicker in San Francisco, and they are almost banking on him turning into a good one when he has shown no signs of that. I get it, 5-6 last week. We all thought maybe this is it. Clearly it wasn't. Like, we have to stop treating Jake Moody and kickers like developmental quarterbacks. They don't have time. Either you're good or you're bad. Either you stay or you get cut. Decide one. And there's a clear answer there. Jake Moody has not been good at all the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, I'm with you. We got some comments coming in on the YouTube chat, youtube.com/957 the game. I saw this earlier from Theodore. I see it as well right now from Otis as well. How much of this, Sterling? I mean, some of this might just be the Niners and Shanahan and Lynch still believe that Moody's better than he's shown, whatever. How much of this simply is the 3rd-round draft pick that was used on him, and moving on from him would be admitting to a terrible, terrible mistake, and they don't feel comfortable doing that? Like, do you think that's... Because if that is still impacting a decision on the roster in 2025, that feels like malpractice. Like, you do what you think is best for the football team, no matter what it means for your ability to evaluate a kicker. Like, you just do what is best for the football team, and I have a hard time believing that they think, realistically, that Jake Moody is the best kicker they could possibly have going forward.
I have a hard time believing, and I think you're right on there. This is the same regime that brought back Jimmy Garoppolo because Trey Lance wasn't getting done in his first training camp in preseason with the roster. This is a team that, even after having Trey Lance for two years and 2 preseasons and 2 actual seasons, watched Brock Purdy flourish in the offense and kind of said, okay, let's kind of cut our losses, and traded them for a 4th or 5th round pick the very next year. Like, there is no reason for a third-round label to be hanging over Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's head of like, oh, you're going to look like a failure, boo! Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is the NFL. You don't get to sit back and hope this works itself out. You have to decide, and like you said, Mark, the right decision for your football team, the best one for your football team. And I think it's pretty obvious that Jake Moody being on the roster is probably not the best decision for the football team. Again, a 70% field goal kicking last year. Terrible. Why does that guy get a second chance? Those are the guys that shouldn't get second chances. Those guys should be off the roster. And look, I think me and you can both say if Jake Moody has a great career, good for him. Maybe it shouldn't be on the San Francisco 49ers. This team can't afford to wait through this any longer. They have to go. Easiest roster in football. Young defense, young offensive. Like, so many things are working against them where the kicker cannot be one of them on top of it.
Yeah, I hear you. And not that, they're ever going to be swayed by the way the fan base perceives a player. But, like, the relationship between fan base and kicker, like, it's never been lower in the Shanahan era. And, like, in Niner, trying to think back through Niner, like, years in Niner history, like, the relationship between the trust that a fan base has in a Niner kicker, I don't think it's ever been lower than this. He was getting booed in a preseason game. And maybe it's unfair. Like, I feel for the kid, frankly, I honestly do. But... Yeah. At a certain point, you got to cut your losses and move on. Like, if the two possibilities are Shanahan doesn't want to admit failure for a third-round pick, or he truly believes that Jake Moody is the best kicker that they have access to, I don't know what's worse. Because on one hand, it's doing what's not good for the team. On the other hand, it's ignoring mountains of evidence. And both feel like absolute ludicrous possibilities to me.
What's the old saying? If it walks like a bird and talks like a bird, it must be a bird. Yeah. If he doesn't kick like an accurate field goal kicker and he kicks the ball out of bounds on kickoffs, he must not be a good kicker. Yeah. But like it doesn't mean Jake's future is condemned to being terrible. It means that right now the present should not be affecting San Francisco this much. That's what it all comes down to. Jake can be a great kicker in next year, 5 years, whatever. But right now, they do not have the time to wait for him to grow into that. They have to find somebody else, or he has to turn things up a notch because all they're saying is he's the guy. And maybe he comes out here and he does great and we'll eat our crow and whatever. But right now, there is no indication that's going to happen.
We'll see. 888-957-9570 if you want to talk about Jake Moody, which is the story of the night, apparently.
2 weeks in a row.
You can give us a call. We got plenty more time for your calls and your text. Nathan in Palo Alto, I see you. We will come to you right when we come back from break. It's a quick break, so hang out. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. It's overtime here on 95.7 The Game. Sterling Bennett, Mark Randy with you. Back with more coming up next here on 95.7 The Game.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings. Because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
In a world parched for excitement, one drink will emerge. Twisted Tea, the refreshing thrill ride of flavor. Recreating its classic role as the hard iced tea that goes down smooth. Twisted Tea doesn't just taste like real iced tea, it's made with real brewed tea and a 5% kick of alcohol. Taste the adventure with Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
This Labor Day weekend, be road trip ready with Valvoline Instant Oil Change. No appointment needed. Stay in your car while they change your oil and check your tires, battery, and fluids before you head down the coast or over the Golden Gate. Visit BayAreaOilChange.com.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-334-1155. 800-334-1155. Again, that's 800-334-1155.
Oh, no.
Ah, that's the sound of someone who's misplaced
My debit card.
their debit card.
Where'd I leave that thing?
Not at the gas pump, or the checkout counter, or the roof of your car. Now, if he has the Chase mobile app, he can use Card Lock.
Wait, I could just lock my card.
Yep, just a few tippy taps on his phone, and that sound? That's peace of mind from Chase.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
O'Reilly. Stay cool this summer with AC Pro refrigerant at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. If your vehicle's AC is blowing hot air, beat the heat with AC Pro. Visit your O'Reilly Auto Parts store or shop online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco on Odyssey Sports Station. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube. Powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
Jake Moody for the first time. The point after is no good. Wide to the left. Boy, the wind down there, you wonder, was that a factor here? That was not close. Now how will Jake Moody respond? Missed an extra point on the 49ers' first touchdown. Understood the hold, weeks to snap. And that is perfect.
You could sense the trepidation in the stadium.
Now back to 95.7 The Game.
Oh, no. Oh,
the
God.
wind.
Welcome back to Overtime. That was Guy Haberman, Tim Ryan on KPIX calling the action for the Niners' third preseason game. First of all, Guy's doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
An amazing job. The kicker misses an extra point, and he immediately says, man, it's pretty windy. I wonder what impact that had, because it wasn't close.
And then Tim just being like, the trepidation from the crowd.
And you could hear it. It wasn't complete boos, but it was a mix of boos and just the normal stadium noise. They were boos.
I turned the volume up on my TV, and I was like, are they booing Jake Moody on the field goal? I was like, man, look, I feel bad, but it's just they're not wrong to do so. Like, they are justified in every which way of booing Jake Moody right now. Terrible.
He made a field goal.
That's cool. Yeah, that's your job. Make all of them. Just miss one. Like, had he missed the one field goal and then not messed up the kickoff, maybe I wouldn't be too harsh. But it's like every miss is compounding. Besides last week, it's like one miss, it just right back into the gutter for himself mentally. And it's like, kicker, you have to be mentally strong. You may get one kick a game. You may get no kicks a game. Yeah. You have to be ready at every single moment. And Jake, right now at least, doesn't have that mental fortitude to push through a mistake he has.
Yeah, he made his only field goal attempt. It was a 38-yard field goal late in the third quarter. He went 3 for 4 on extra points. He missed one extra point, and he also kicked a kickoff out of bounds, which gave the Chargers the ball at the 40-yard line. So by no means a great day for Jake Moody. He had two bad mistakes. And he made, 4 of his 5 kicks, but still 2 mistakes in there on his day today. Kyle Shanahan said post-game when asked, if you have to think about making a decision at your kicker spot, and he pointed to the amazing week that Jake Moody had in Vegas. So the answer to that question seems like a no from Kyle Shanahan. What do you think? Should the answer be no? 888-957-9570. Nathan in Palo Alto hung on through the break. Nathan, what's up? You're on Overtime with Grandy and Sterling. What do you got for us, Nathan? What do you think of Jake Moody?
Hey, guys. I've kind of always been rooting for him. I'm a bit of a Michigan fan, and I was at the game last year where he twisted his ankle every which way. It was really bad. So I'm always kind of rooting for Jake, but he's definitely been hit or miss, literally. And my question to you guys is, what are the alternatives to him? Where do we go to find somebody else that would be as good or comparable? The season's about to start. What choice do we have other than him right now? Do we have to just deal? So that's my question to you guys.
Thanks, Nathan. Good question. So the name that immediately comes to mind is Greg Joseph, because he was in camp earlier this year. He was cut not because he performed poorly. In fact, I think if you asked most observers who have been down there, he probably outperformed Jake Moody in practice. Now, Joseph was cut before any of the preseason games. The reason he was cut was, again, not because he performed poorly, but because all of the injuries to the Niners elsewhere meant they were running out of bodies, and they just needed that extra spot on their preseason training camp roster to go to a different position group other than kicker. So Joseph was cut as a result of the injuries to help just give them enough bodies for joint practices, and Greg Joseph is still sitting out there as a free agent currently, Sterling. He's 31 years old. Played for 3 teams last year, the Giants, the Commanders, and the Jets. On his career, he's making a little more than 82% of his field goals. That's just one name, Sterling. I don't have the others off the top of my head, but I would imagine there's 3 or 4 other kickers that have been around the block in their NFL careers and probably kick at a similar percentage to Greg Joseph.
To ask who could be the replacement or who could be of equal value, you have to look at Jake and say, what is equal value to Jake Moody, the worst kicker in football? So really anybody in that room may give you something more, and it may come at the cost of being able to hit a 59-yard game-winning field goal. To me, so be it. I get it. That is a valuable asset to have. It's a reason why this team and this regime drafted Jake Moody to hit kicks outside of 50 yards. Robbie Gould wasn't great at that. He was getting older. You bring Jake in. He's a bigger leg. All that sounds perfect, and I get it. But I would rather have a kicker that can give me 85%, 90% from inside the 40, where Jake isn't great. Because those are kicks where drives stall late in games, or you can't get into the end zone. Give me 3 to start off a game, or late in the game to give me a 1-score game, in the fourth quarter to help keep it close for the offense in case the defense can make a big play. That's where Jake fails the most at. And that is a big concern where, if Greg Joseph is the guy at 31 years old, I don't care he played for 3 teams last year. If he can make a 35-yard field goal consistently, come on down, Greg. Welcome to the red and gold again. I'm okay with that. And yes, we are all rooting for Jake Moody, the person.
Of course.
We do not want him to fail.
Well,
we want
him to succeed. Rooting for him, the player, too. Of course you're rooting for him, the player. Yeah.
Exactly. The better he plays, the better we're off. So it's okay. But it's business. It's football. If I don't do my job well, I don't get brought back. Same thing goes for Mark and all listeners out there. If you aren't good at your job, the odds are you're not going to be there very long. The same thing goes for Jake Moody.
In Greg Joseph's career, inside of 40 yards, so chip shot field goals all the way up to 39 yards, he has missed 1 career kick. 1 career kick inside of 40 yards. He's 1 for 1 on field goals inside of 20 yards. So from 0 to 19 yards. From 20 to 29 yards, he's 34 for 34. And from 30 to 39 yards, he's 37 for 38.
I mean, bring it on, man.
So that's the replacement option that you have sitting out there on the street, and that's the move that I think a lot of Niner fans would be rooting for the Niners to make. It does seem, though, Sterling, based on Shanahan's comments tonight, that will not be happening. Here's Kyle Shanahan post-game tonight when asked if Moody's play, again, a missed extra point today and a kickoff hit out of bounds, giving the Chargers the ball at the 40-yard line. Shanahan asked if that warrants another option at kicker. Here's Shanahan.
I mean, I thought he had one of the best games I've ever seen a guy have last week. I know he missed extra point today, which definitely doesn't make us happy, but we'll see how it goes in the year. I know he's a talented kicker. I know he's done some really good things for us. He had a rough last 7 games last year, but I think he's had a real good offseason and a real good preseason also.
So, I mean, if that's where his mind goes when asked if there needs to be a change made, then I have a hard time believing there's going to be a change made, Sterling.
You laid the stats out as clearly as they can be. Kyle can see those. John Lynch can see those of how good Greg Joseph has been inside the 40-yard line. And yet we're still having to have this conversation. Yeah, Jake has a big leg, and Jake could be this and he could be that. I don't care what he could be. Trey Lance could have been a great quarterback too, but he's not either. Just get me a good player that can make kicks inside the 40-yard line. It's not complicated. I know Kyle Shanahan said, I'm not a doctor. You don't have to be a doctor to know making kicks. It's a hard job, but if you can do it, then stay. If you can't, then go.
Okay. So I read off Greg Joseph's numbers. I'm now going to read off Jake Moody's numbers, and you might be a little surprised. So
they better?
Again, Greg Joseph has missed 1 kick inside of 40 yards, 39 yards and shorter. He's missed 1 kick. Now, it's a big number of kicks, right? It's, 73 kicks. He's 72 for 73 inside of 40 yards. Okay. Jake Moody inside of 40 yards has also only missed 1 kick. Now it's only 30 career kicks. It's 29 for 30. So it's not nearly as big of a sample, and the percentage is actually worse, even though he's missed 1 because...
Does that include PATs?
That does not include PATs.
That sort of might get tricky.
I don't have the PATs handy at this moment. I could find them in a little bit. Now you go beyond, you go into the 40-yard range, 40 and beyond, 40 to 49 and 50 beyond. So just 40 and beyond. Moody is 16 for 29. 16 for 29. We're talking about nearly 50%. Jake Moody, 40 yards and beyond. And then for Greg Joseph from 40 yards and beyond, I'm going to try to do some math here on the fly really quick, so stay with me. I got to bring up my calculator app to get you the percentage. Jake Moody from 40 to 49 is 27 for 38, and 50 and beyond, he's 17 for 30. So 27 and 17 is 34. 34 makes, divided by 68 total attempts. That is also right around 50%. So the numbers are relatively... Thank you.
Captivating radio there.
Thank you. Showing off my third grade math skills.
Wow.
The numbers are actually relatively similar in terms of the ranges, Sterling.
Yeah.
Jake Moody and Greg Joseph.
Honestly, I don't care. One seems like... Maybe it's the aura of Jake Moody of it just has the ick. You know, you're like, here comes Jake Moody, yo. I don't know what's going to happen here. When he walks out there is no confidence in him. There's no confidence from the fan base. There's no confidence from the coaching staff, it feels like. And they can say this and that, and they can go out there and cut Greg Joseph, and they can go out there and say, oh, Jake's our guy, and Jake's our man. If he can't do it, no one can. That doesn't matter. Because he's not doing it. And he hasn't been doing it. He missed the kick tonight. He's missed kicks throughout a lot of last year. And look, maybe it's not that Jake has a higher low percentage. Maybe it's the kicks that he's missed. It's been game-tying kicks. It's been game-winning kicks. It's been close game kicks. It's been the Rams last year. It's been the Browns, the Vikings 2 seasons ago. Getting a PAT blocked in the Super Bowl, which I know it's not his fault, but it still happened. It's stuff like that where, just the name Jake Moody does not bring us any good moments outside of a preseason game-winning kick against the Raiders, which, last time I checked, doesn't even matter.
You were celebrating that win, though, Sterling. I remember
I thought it was going to change, Mark, and nothing changed. I was still as nervous today as I was last weekend. I was like, oh, God, help us.
I think the moment that frustrates Shanahan and the Niners more in terms of the mistakes that Jake Moody made today, it's the kickoff out of bounds. Like, that's just unacceptable. You give the opponents the ball at the 40-yard line, like an extra point, okay. Like, honestly, Jake Moody, I have his career extra points in front of me now.
It's pretty good.
98%. 92 for 94 in his career. Greg Joseph is actually quite a bit worse. 91% in his career. So, like, Jake Moody is better from an extra point spot as well. But you're right. There is this aura. There is this energy. There's just this general feeling that Jake Moody can't survive as a Niner kicker one way or another. Something's got to give. That's where it feels like we're at. But if there was one thing that I think might spurn the Niners to make a change, it's your kicker, whoever it is, being unable to just avoid the back-breaking mistake on a kickoff, giving the opponents really good field position. Shanahan, you could just tell whenever he would address the media, Sterling, after a rough loss last year when special teams did them in time and time and time again, he does not want to have to think about special teams. And Brant Boyer could have the coverage units down and bring them back to a top 5 unit in terms of gunners on punt coverage and kickoff coverage. But your kicker can't consistently just kick it the way he's supposed to on kickoffs. Then you're going to lose games because of special teams again, even if Jake Moody's making his kicks.
You cannot give the opponent the ball at the 40-yard line, especially after you missed the PAT. Okay, you cost us 1 point. You're going to give the other team 7 while you're at it? It's very small stuff like that. And the camera angles of Kyle giving Jake the sideline, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious? And then Brant Boyer walks right by him, doesn't even talk to him. They basically bum shoulders like they didn't even know who each other were. It was like, whether it's just the feeling you get through the TV, I don't know what it is, man, but Jake Moody gives me just the negative aura, the ick, whatever you want to call it. I want him to be good. This team is better if he's good. Like, we're all happy if he's good.
Yeah.
But it's just been this, like, get away from me kind of feeling.
We're going to talk about the running back room because what Shanahan said about Brian Robinson is important, and we're going to play that again, and we'll talk about that. Plus, really quickly, update on a couple of injuries that Shanahan talked about. Jacob Robinson, rookie cornerback who's fighting to make a roster spot. He very well might have been able to make this roster. Broke his forearm in today's game. Rookie out of BYU. That really sucks for Jacob Robinson. And then Jacob Cowing, the hits keep coming to the wide receiver room. His hamstring injury is going to cost him like 6 weeks, according to Kyle Shanahan. So those are 2 really big injuries. Not that you expected either of those guys, Sterling, to be major contributors. But Jacob Robinson, broken forearm, rookie corner out of BYU, and Jacob Cowing, second-year receiver out of Arizona, both are going to miss an extended period of time, and that might be the end of Jacob Robinson as a Niner, too.
Well, it's compounded, too, because Trey Brown, somebody they signed to be the third outside cornerback, he went on IR earlier this week, so they've lost 2 outside cornerbacks in a span of 1 week's time, which, yeah, you may have some guys there. Darrell Luter Jr., I think, played pretty well tonight. There was a few plays that weren't great, but overall was a better game from him. You have Dallas Flowers, who I think has been and will probably be the third outside cornerback, but to lose 2 of those guys in the same week certainly stinks. And then Jacob Cowing, who, yeah, you can say wasn't going to play a big role, but with Jauan Jennings' status up in the air and no Brandon Ayuk, DeMarcus Robinson suspended, Cowing was in line to at least have a larger role in the first kind of 3 games of the year. That's not going to happen, and now you're kind of eyeing Cowing and Ayuk's return towards the same period of time, which if other guys go down and he's on IR, he may not come back at all this year.
Yeah.
And that's another lost year for a guy they were hoping to get something more out of. So there's a reason they brought in Sky Moore. Now it's, does Junior Burgeon make the roster? Is Sky Moore the Cowing replacement? It certainly feels that way now, which doesn't give me a lot of confidence. But the Niners have a lot of questions to answer in the next 3 days or so.
Yeah, it did not really feel like Junior Burgeon, who muffed a punt today, had a spot on this roster. But this injury to Jacob Cowing maybe means that he's going to make it. We shall see. It seems like Sky Moore is probably going to be this team's punt and kick returner. That's how it feels to me. especially once Bergen muffed that punt in the game today, and you could tell how dejected he was. I think he felt that he had lost his spot on a roster, on making this roster, but maybe now with this news for Jacob Cowing, he finds his way back on. We'll talk about running backs in a sec, but before we do that, I did want to head out to the phone lines because 95.7 The Game's own Zach Green, who if you follow along on Twitter at 95.7 The Game, you saw him covering this game for us today, was down at Levi's. Zach, I wanted to ask you about the crowd because Sterling and I were just talking about the kicker, Jake Moody, and I'm not so sure I've ever heard a kicker be booed by his home team in a preseason game. What was that like?
Yeah, I haven't heard something like that since my Hoosiers tried booing our kicker to cover the spread against Ohio State my sophomore year. So that was quite interesting. But it was he missed the PAT, right? And then as you guys talked about, you take the ball out of bounds, and it wasn't like directly right after it was like after he made the PAT following the first, his kick where he missed it. But he did not want to speak to the media after the game. We tried getting him, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go stretch. I gotta go meet with the trainer." And I don't know. I mean, what I don't know what would he have said, right? But the way I took Kyle Shanahan's or Brent Boyer's comments when he spoke this past week was like not necessarily like, come on, like it's not a career changer, right? Like that 59-yard game-winning kick. It's more of like, oh, it's another shot. Like we'll give him one more shot, and that's really the way I feel like. If we have a scenario, week 1 or week 2 where, I don't know, he's missing kicks inside 40 yards, like, I think we give him the boot, right? Like, hit the showers.
Yeah, Zach, appreciate the insight. And, yeah, really, really weird setup there for the Niners at Levi's where you have in a preseason game your kicker being booed. I don't know if I agree with him, though. This doesn't feel like it's headed towards a change, Sterling. Again, based on what Kyle Shanahan said, it doesn't seem to be eyeing a change. It might just have to be Jake Moody cost the team a win in the regular season, and that's when a change is made. That's the way this seems to be trending.
Which this team cannot afford.
Yeah.
And that is probably the most frustrating part of, when does the bow eventually break for Jake and you start to see a change? Whether it be Brant Boyer yelling and screaming at him after a missed kick of like, what is wrong with you? How many opportunities do you get? Whether it is Brandon Ayuk or somebody else, confronting him on the sideline or whatever. But the one thing you can't have happen is preseason struggles after a year-long struggle or a year-ish long struggle because of the injury, after a few missed kicks in rookie season. You cannot have that when you walk into week 1 and him miss a kick that may cost you a game or cost you a really big-time score that may put more pressure on your offense to hold the football longer or put pressure on your defense to stop the opposing offense to get the ball back. Because it feels like the fans can see the writing on the wall. But they want to keep giving this thing an opportunity and a chance. And if Zach is saying that he read Brant Boyer's comments as, it's another opportunity, it's one more shot for Jake, he kind of kept the door open a little bit longer, then what's today? Does the door shut? Is there going to be a change? It doesn't sound like that. Yeah. So it certainly sounds like it will cost, or it will have to lead to Jake costing them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games before Kyle and John say enough's enough. He got to go.
Costing them 5 games?
Okay, well, being a little facetious and being over-exaggeration, but you get my point.
I know what you mean. Yes.
If he cost them against Seattle and the Saints and the Cardinals and he's still here, my gosh, I will go to Levi's myself and pick it out there and say, Kyle, got to change. Please.
You should try out. Try your luck. Maybe you can make a couple kicks.
Maybe not outside inside the 30, we might be okay.
Well, he's only missed one in his career. Inside the 40. So,
well, I'll miss 0 then, Mark, and make it better for us all.
Inside the 30, Jake Moody is 16 for 16, Sterling. So you got to be perfect.
I'll be 17 for 16, Mark. I'll make the kick that didn't even happen yet.
Interesting. I will believe it when I see it. We'll see what the Niners do with their kicking spot. It looks like it's going to be Jake Moody until something further disastrous happens. We shall see how it all plays out. The other thing that Kyle Shanahan said, Sterling, that really caught my eyes, or one of the other things, was when he was asked about Brian Robinson Jr. If you missed it, yesterday the 49ers acquired running back from the Washington Commanders, Brian Robinson Jr., out of Alabama, has been a 3-year starter with the Commanders, hasn't ever rushed for over 1,000 yards, but all-purpose yards has been around 1,000 for each of the last 2 seasons. When you add in receiving yards, has been healthy beyond when he got shot in a carjacking attempt before his rookie season, and honestly stunned everybody, kind of like Ricky Pearsall, with how quickly he recovered and came back. He's been healthy ever since then, only he's missed a couple of games each year since. Kyle Shanahan, when asked about this trade, which, by the way, is not yet finalized, here's what Kyle Shanahan said post-game tonight about Brian Robinson Jr.
We brought him here to be our 2-back. I've always been a big fan of Brian. Loved him coming out of college. He's done really well going against him, and we were pumped that he was available, and we were pumped that we were able to get him.
And that puts an end to all of the speculation of Brian Robinson as the number 3, Guerendo as the number 2. That, to me, Sterling, was only going to be the truth potentially for like a week 1 game as you get Brian Robinson up to speed in this offense. But if you're just gauging the Niners running back room off of talent and talent alone, there is no comparison. There is no debate. Brian Robinson is the second most talented guy the Niners have in that running back room, behind, of course, the great Christian McCaffrey.
It also gives them an inside zone guy. I think it's also insurance for Jordan James being out on top of it. You know, Brian Robinson fills that short yardage role. He also had 8 touchdowns last year and over 700 yards the last 3 seasons. So for a room behind Christian McCaffrey that really has no proven players, now you have one of the most proven backups in football. And I think when you talk about replacing Jordan Mason, which I know some fans did love that trade, you have a cheaper, albeit not younger, version of Jordan Mason right behind Christian McCaffrey again that you hope can stay healthy for the entire year. And, you know, Brian Robinson also is one of the most underrated pass catchers in football. So, we know last year with Christian McCaffrey being out for almost the entirety of the season, this team did not have a checkdown option. Brian Robinson can give you something along those lines which Jordan Mason couldn't do. So a lot to like from Brian Robinson. I am shocked he was named the RB2 so quickly, but the way Guerendo played tonight may be a big reason for that.
Yeah, it was not a great showing by Guerendo. You are right. We mentioned this earlier. He's not playing with like any starters. The only guy that he played with that might start week 1 is a backup, an injury replacement at right guard in Connor Colby, and that's not for certain. But basically, he's playing with all backups and some even like third stringers. So that surely had something to do with it. But still, he's also playing against backups, and it didn't really look like he could run away from anybody. Now, it's also his first preseason game of the year. He's been out with a shoulder injury. He also banged that shoulder again on special teams, had to leave for a bit, eventually came back, but not a good sign there because the one thing for him is he also hasn't been able to stay healthy in his brief career, and that also can be said for his time in college. Not that he was hurt all the time, but he just could not handle a big workload and never really carried the ball all that much. This trade, though, Sterling, the Niners trade away a late pick. They gave a 6th-round pick to Washington for Brian Robinson. He's set to make $3.4 million this year. Washington will take on a little more than $1 million of that money. The Niners paying a little bit more than $2 million in salary for Robinson this year. So a 6th-round pick for Brian Robinson to come in and be your running back 2 behind Christian McCaffrey. I think the Niners, Sterling, have kind of made quietly a number of really good moves and trades this offseason. I think about this deal. I think about the other deal with the Commanders, the Deebo Samuel trade, where they traded away Deebo, of course, and his gigantic contract, plus a 2026 6th-round pick. That was for the Brian Robinson deal. But they also get a draft pick from Washington for Deebo Samuel. That was one trade, this trade with Brian Robinson, and then the third that I'm thinking of is the Jordan Mason deal, which at the time seemed a little confusing. They shipped away Jordan Mason, who then signed a 2-year, $10.5 million contract with the Vikings. They also sent a 2025 sixth-round pick to Minnesota. They get a 2025 fifth, which became potentially your Week 1 starting safety Marquise Siegel, and they also got a 2026 sixth-round pick. The net of all these deals, Sterling, those 3 deals, the Niners trade away Deebo Samuel, Jordan Mason, and a sixth-rounder this year and a sixth-rounder next year. They get Brian Robinson, Marquise Siegel, Jordan James, and a sixth-round pick last year, all while saving about $20 million in salary. That feels like a clear win for the Niners. In the aggregate, in those 3 trades, that feels like, in the margins, John Lynch making some pretty impressive moves.
Well, and don't forget, Brian Robinson's also a free agent after this year, and like San Francisco always likes to do, hope he signs elsewhere for a big contract, and you get a comp pick in return. So you may get one really good year of Brian Robinson. Maybe they bring him back. Who knows? But if he does leave elsewhere, for wherever he signs with, if he gets a larger chunk of change, say it is $10 million, $12 million, San Francisco could add another young player to the roster with a comp pick. So it's almost like a kind of bargain bin shopping, but kind of a really nice bargain to shop from, because, again, you get a running back in Jordan James you value a lot and hope it can become, which maybe with Isaac Grendo's stock dropping pretty steep in the last couple weeks, maybe James usurps him on the roster and becomes the next Brian Robinson for you as the inside zone back, and you have Marquise Siegel, you're starting free safety, what seems like to begin the year. And you have Brian Robinson, who's a heck of a back behind Christian McCaffrey, which maybe it's just me. I'm hoping that, and this feels more like a way to circumnavigate the need for a wide receiver, where you wish you had Ayuk, you wish you had Demarcus Robinson, you wish you had Jauan Jennings, and you may, if he's back healthy, by week 1, but you're not going to pay Amari Cooper a ton of money. You're not going to pay Gabe Davis a ton of money. You already got Sky Moore in there, kind of another bargain bin deal you made with the Chiefs, but you get Brian Robinson, he becomes your RB2. What does that do? Christian McCaffrey, go play the slot. Christian McCaffrey, go do screens. It allows him to kind of utilize CMC as the Deebo Samuel role for a couple of weeks until they can get the receivers back healthy. So this deal certainly fixes, or at least helps fix, many holes on the roster that San Francisco had prior to the deals getting done. Yeah, one of the first thoughts I had with Brian Robinson, and you mentioned early when we were talking about him, his pass-catching ability. He's not the dynamic pass catcher that McCaffrey is, but in terms of running backs, nobody is, or almost nobody is. There are some comps, but Christian McCaffrey is as good as anybody there. He is serviceable in that way, but even if he wasn't, Sterling, just the consistency and the proven ability that he is as a running back, as a between the tackles ball carrier, that allows Christian McCaffrey to do so much other stuff. And what I would imagine is swirling through Kyle Shanahan's mind, and why he sounded pretty damn excited about Brian Robinson when asked about him today, is this gives him the freedom to use McCaffrey in so many other ways. And I'm just imagining like a formation where you've got Pearsall split out wide, you've got Kittle on the left side of the offensive line, you've got Purdy out of the shotgun, and you have McCaffrey on one hip of Purdy, and you got Robinson on the other. Say you move McCaffrey in motion out of the backfield to the slot left side, then Pearsall comes across the formation in motion as the ball is being snapped. You could legitimately hand it off to Pearsall. You could give it to Robinson. You could throw it to Kittle. You could throw it to McCaffrey. In terms of putting a defense in a bind, this is a move that I think frees up the Niners in so many different ways to do that. And I think it allows Kyle Shanahan to get back to what has made him so good in the past, maybe not last year, just being creative and breaking the rules of a defense, and as a result, getting somebody wide open and gaining free yards as a result. I think this allows Shanahan to get back to what he does best, and I hope to see that a lot this year with those sorts of creative formations and play calls. Well, then you want to flash forward, right? You want to think of, what does this offense look like when it's completely healthy, with Ayuk on one side of the offense and Kittle on the offensive line and Christian McCaffrey and Brian Robinson and Pearsall, and you see them all spread out, and you're like, good luck trying to stop that offensive unit. And we haven't even got to Kyle Juszczyk being this 11, 12 personnel tight end. It almost overwhelms you as like, this offense can do so much more now. And imagine trying to face them as a defense. I do worry a little bit because we say this and then Kyle never does it. Like, oh, that's great. Like, okay, like, you wish you'd be a little more creative, but Kyle is one of the best play callers in football. And when you hear him already talking about a player they acquired, not even officially yet, being the RB2 and kind of opening things up, that has to get you somewhat excited to say, okay, like they clearly have a plan for Brian Robinson in the offense, which again seems to be kind of taking that Jordan Mason role, maybe even a step up like last year was. And if they call Jordan Mason the closer, what does that make Brian Robinson, the closer 2.0? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah.
But it certainly gives you a good idea as to where things are heading for the offense this year.
Yeah, again, here's Kyle Shanahan post-game when asked about Brian Robinson and that trade.
We brought him here to be our two-back. I've always been a big fan of Brian. Loved him coming out of college. He's done really well going against him, and we were pumped that he was available, and we were pumped that we were able to get him.
Do you know at all why it hasn't been finalized yet, Sterling? I mean, it was announced that the trade went down yesterday. It has not been announced by either of the teams as an official deal. I would imagine because the Niners may be busy today with the preseason game, they couldn't quite get a physical in, but it might be finalized tomorrow. Do you have any idea why it hasn't been finalized yet?
I think he was taking his physical today, and I believe he passed that. So my assumption is they were waiting for those results to come in, and then San Francisco had their game. So tomorrow morning, we should probably get an announcement sometime, but the physical seems to be the reason for that.
Yeah, not worried at all that it's not going to go through. This is going to go through. Just it hasn't been officially announced just yet. So, okay, with the addition of Brian Robinson, how do you think the 53-man roster looks when you're just looking at the running back room? Because, of course, you got Christian McCaffrey. We know now that it's going to be Brian Robinson, as Shanahan is saying, is the running back too. Beyond that, you got questions. You're going to carry, normally they carry, 4 running backs, and then also Kyle Juszczyk is the way they normally do this. Throw Juszczyk to the side, 4 running backs, McCaffrey, Brian Robinson. It feels like Guerendo is still probably a lock for a spot as well.
Yeah.
And then it's... What do you do beyond that? Because you got injuries all over the place. You have a rookie that you drafted in Jauan Jennings who has not played a preseason game and hasn't practiced in a really long time. Shanahan did say post-game today that he expects James back soon. Might be this coming week in practice. Maybe it is game week practice ahead of week 1 versus Seattle. Do you think it's Jauan Jennings for that 4th running back spot?
I do. I think they can put Jeff Wilson Jr. through waivers and bring him back via the practice squad. And Jeff Wilson Jr. has looked, I think, really good in preseason so far. The burst is there. The way he can get through tackles is there. I would love El Jefe to be on the roster again, but I think Jauan Jennings, 5th-round pick, you brought him in for a reason. He's an inside zone back, and you cannot afford to let him go. I know he has a broken finger, but like you said, he'll be back this week, hopefully, and I think... when you look at his stats at Oregon, which mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, but 15 touchdowns inside the red zone last year. You're a Go Ducks guy. You know this firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jauan Jennings gets it done inside the 20, and he may not play much this year, but knowing you have that on the roster somewhere, whether it be RB1 all the way to 4, that's a guy you don't lose in the first year of his contract. So I think it's pretty clear-cut. You go with McCaffrey, Robinson, Guerendo, and then Jauan Jennings rounding things out.
Do you think Guerendo's going to get major snaps? Any snaps? Only if there's injuries?
Well, he didn't get many snaps last year until guys went down too.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
I think utilizing him as kind of the receiver, like Guerendo is a much better receiver than he is running back. I think getting him in open space, using that 4-3 speed with blockers in front of him to kind of free up space for him too. That to me is the way to use Guerendo, not as a wide zone back and is hoping to find the hole. The vision's a question mark, but in space you don't need great vision. Just go. It's not that hard.
I know you and I, Sterling, have been doing post games here on 95.7 The Game. This is our 3rd year now, so we've been through a lot with Shanahan and McCaffrey specifically. And I remember 2 years ago when the Niners were rolling and they were the best team in the NFL for the vast majority of the year, and they went all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't need to bring up the memories of the Super Bowl, but they went all the way to the Super Bowl. They were an amazing team. And you and I would kind of freak out after every game about McCaffrey's touches. They need to limit his touches. He can't be touching the ball 25, 30 times every game. You're going to wear him down. And maybe that was part of the reason why he was unable to stay healthy really at all last year. Do you feel like with the introduction of Brian Robinson, there will be like a little bit of limiting of McCaffrey's touches? Or is McCaffrey still the bell cow, and as long as the Niners need him to win games, he will be pushed as hard as he has been in years past? Or do you think having Brian Robinson make Shanahan, almost forces Shanahan's hand to saying, all right, McCaffrey, you're going to top out at 20 touches a game. We can't really allow you to get much more than that. Or is it just going to be classic Shanahan and McCaffrey again?
I don't know if limiting Christian McCaffrey's touches is something Kyle ever wants to do, because it results in a philosophical change in which Kyle doesn't seem capable of, because Christian's so good.
It also results in maybe you winning fewer football games because the team isn't as good around him.
That said, I do believe that having Brian Robinson does, while not force or make Kyle limit Christian's touches, I do think it does allow Christian to not be maybe utilized so much on the inside zone, inside the tackles, not have 355-pound defensive linemen falling on his Achilles and his calf and his knees and getting kind of broken and bruised as the season progresses. Get him on the outside zone, utilize him on screens, on pitches, and get kind of like Grendo in a way, get him in space where he has lanes to run. Whereas Robinson, let him be your kind of that beefy bruiser guy. You say, go up in there and give me 3 or 4 yards. You shouldn't need CMC to do that with Brian Robinson on the roster. So I'm hoping if there is going to be a change, it will not be a touches change, but how you utilize those players differently to help maybe keep Christian McCaffrey upright throughout the hopeful the entirety of the season.
Yeah, not all touches are created equal. So you're right. Like a touch between the tackles generally is a little more physically demanding than a toss to the outside or quick completion to your running back. So there are differences there. I also think what I would like to see from Shanahan in terms of a philosophical change, which he tends to be very stubborn on. It's just,
you're asking way too much, Mark.
It's pretty simple for me, and this should be a no-brainer for Kyle Shanahan. And this was not really the case in 2023. Now, McCaffrey was amazing in 2023, and he was healthy the entire season, and every touch you gave him increased your win probability. So I get it. But there is a time and a place, and when the time and the score is telling you do not need McCaffrey here, then let's ease back a little bit. Take your foot off the gas, put on the brake just a little bit. You're up by 14 with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I know you're trying to ice the game, but let's not just give McCaffrey 5 carries in a row to try to ice this game. Like, play the time and score. Maybe there will be fewer opportunities to do that this year, Sterling, because you don't expect to blow a lot of teams out as you did in 2023. But that's where I think Shanahan missed the boat in 2023. It was, even when the game was nearly decided, it was still full bore. Here's a bunch more McCaffrey touches.
And we saw that in a small glimpse tonight that they won the division that year, where Jordan Mason closed that game out when Brock Purdy had the broken ribs and they're in Seattle. Yeah, it doesn't mean Christian can't be on the field. Christian can be lined outside. He can be on one hip and Brian Robinson or somebody else on the other one, whether it be Kyle Juszczyk. It doesn't matter. It's just about kind of limiting how much Christian is tackled and brought to the ground and how many hits he takes. Like, that is what we're kind of getting at of, like, we'd like to have Christian upright, not just every week, but for the majority of plays. And so I think you're right. Getting Brian Robinson hopefully makes Kyle look at the roster and say, you know what? We love Christian McCaffrey a lot. Who wouldn't? We're going to use him a lot because who wouldn't? But in some situations where he's not needed, Christian, take a play off. Go get your calves massaged. Whatever you need, man. Like, we need to make sure you are okay. You want a private jet? Whatever you want. We got you taken care of, brother. So hopefully that's the case with Brian Robinson on the roster this year.
I'm not a doctor, so...
Well, that is one of the spots I wanted to go to next, because Shanahan was asked about Jauan Jennings and his calf, and you just brought up McCaffrey's calves, Sterling. Jauan Jennings is apparently dealing with a pretty gnarly calf injury that's kept him out of training camp and of the preseason for quite a while now, getting to the point where Shanahan is being asked about it at almost every single media gathering. And if you don't know the backstory is... right before training camp or very early in training camp, a report came out that Jauan Jennings wants either a reworked contract, a new deal, or to be traded. There has been no contract agreement yet, and we're approaching the beginning of the regular season, so I don't know if that means a trade is coming or not, but the Niners seemingly are treating this as the only thing that's bothering Jauan is the calf. And when Shanahan was asked about it today, post-game, and he was asked about it multiple times, by the way, he seemed to be a little annoyed by the entire situation, and he said he expects Jauan to be back. The calf injury is one that they think he should be back from soon, but he also said calves take time, and I'm not a doctor. This, to me, Sterling, reeks of Shanahan and John Lynch being very frustrated that Jauan Jennings is not out there, as he previously said he would be. And to me, it seems to me they're not buying that his absence is purely because of the calf.
So you believe that the calf may be a small, minute hindrance in his being on the football field, but you really think it's a more contractual-related issue with him?
I do. I think he's not practicing because he wants more money, and he realizes this is probably the best card that he has to play. Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, San Francisco played this thing right because he has no leverage once week one comes. He has almost no guaranteed money on his books. They'll fine him all they can, which they don't want to do, and they can rescind those fines, but he has no leverage now. It's over. And sure, maybe you can say, well, Ayuk's out and Robinson suspended, and now like the receiver injuries to Walking and Cowling, and maybe that changes things, but Jauan has lost all his leverage. The time is up. They didn't blink. Now, Jauan, whether he's hurt or not, I think he is, which to me is concerning. But if Shanahan's saying, I'm not a doctor and he should be out there, things are going to get really tight. And if Jauan doesn't play, that to me, it's one thing to miss practice. It's one thing to hold in, to hold out, to miss training camp, to miss the preseason. Once you start missing meaningful games, that signifies to the team you are a me-first player, not a team-first player, which that does not sound like Jauan Jennings. And I get it. Get your money. Get your bread. I'm all for that. This is maybe the one time you might get paid in the NFL. Do it while you can. But if you start hurting the team because you want to get paid, that's not going to make John and Kyle want to pay you more money than they think you deserve. So that's why I don't think this is a contract thing. I do think Jauan's actually hurt. And if he is, take a week off if you have to. Take preseason off, but we need you out there week one because this team doesn't have a lot of offensive options at wide receiver. It's Ricky Pearsall, it's Sky Moore, it's maybe Russell Gage if he's back from the sprained MCL, it's Robbie Chosen-Anderson. Like, it gets really thin really fast out there, so hopefully Jauan's back by week one against Seattle.
Let me ask you this. Do you follow him on Instagram?
I saw the IG post.
You did?
I did.
And you still think this is only injury related?
He could have been talking about a girlfriend for all I know. I'm not going to look too much into that.
These are athletes in the year 2025. They negotiate in public on social media. If you don't follow Jauan Jennings on Instagram, I will share with you his most recent story. Or maybe not his most recent. I'm not looking at his updated Instagram. I'm looking at a screenshot of a post that he put up there earlier today. It's a graphic of the rapper Offset with a quote from one of his songs. The song is called Move On, and he also has the song Move On playing on his Instagram story. But the quote on the graphic is, quote, "You bleeped around with the wrong dude. Hope your next bleep be great." Okay, this to me screams, Sterling, you desperately need me to play wide receiver. I ain't going to back down because you need me that bad, and I know that's how I can get my money. This to me screams, I'm holding out because I need a new contract.
That sounds great and all. You know what Kyle's going to say? Well, will I have Christian McCaffrey? Will I have George Kittle?
Yep.
Will I have Ricky Pearsall? Will I have Sky Moore, which may not matter much, but I have Brian Robinson.
Sky Moore, I mean, who dropped?
No offense to Sky Moore, just like he's not going to factor in much.
He can't catch.
Well, he can catch punts, unlike Junior Burgeon, but
yes.
I digress. Kyle's not gonna read that and say, "Oh, John, we gotta pay Jauan now. What are we gonna do?" Kyle's gonna go, "No, I'm gonna go put up 35 against Seattle in Seattle and tell Jauan, you want to come back or not? If not, sit out. I don't care. We'll see you next year if we have to." Like, or they're going to fine him with no guaranteed money on his books, essentially, and say, hey, the minute your pocketbook runs dry, brother, come on back. We'll accept you then, but until then, we'll see you later. So I don't think they're going to blink whatsoever. Should they? I love Jauan, but if the calf is real, if it's not, I don't know, but the Niners are not going to blink on this. They're already paying Ayuk a ton of money. They hated that deal in the first place. They still did it. They're not going to pay Jauan $20+ million if that's what he's asking for.
Well, I don't think he's asking for that. I don't have any inside knowledge, but I mean, I would imagine he's asking somewhere between, I don't know.
16 maybe?
I was going to say like between 12 to 15 would be my guess, somewhere around there. But I think the Niners are negotiating as a matter of principle as opposed to just against Jauan. They need to for their benefits years down the road, they need to end this precedent of players holding out and getting everything that they could possibly want out of the 49ers. The Niners love Jauan Jennings. He is Kyle Shanahan's dream wide receiver. He does all of the dirty work. I don't know if there's many dudes that Kyle Shanahan loves more than Jauan Jennings, and I believe that when I say it. So for the 49ers to sit there, look at Jauan, ask for a new contract, and for them to have zero movement in that direction, and for them to actively, it seems to me, Sterling, actively ignore the whole part of this that is contract-related and focus only on the calf, feels to me like they are erasing that from the reality. They're pretending the contract demand doesn't even exist. They're treating Jauan as if he's hurt with the calf, a lingering calf issue that is lasting longer than they thought it was going to, and now they're getting frustrated. I think no matter what, they are not blinking here, and the next update in this situation is going to come from Jauan in one of two ways. It's either going to be, fine, I will return to practice and to games, or my trade request is now a trade demand. That's how I see this going. Nothing coming from the Niners, just Jauan blinking or taking this to the next step.
But in both those situations, maybe outside of Jauan playing, but in that case, he's giving in to San Francisco's demands, he's losing. Jauan doesn't win in any place here.
I don't think so. And it's unfortunate. It's nothing against him. It's just the timing, the Niners realizing what has to happen. That's how I feel.
So do you think they're going to get a deal done? Because it doesn't sound like it.
No. I mean, I guess Jauan could bring down his ask way low, and maybe he just accepts a little bit more guaranteed money. I don't think he's going to get a major pay increase.
So from what you're saying, it sounds like this is going to be Jauan Jennings' last run with San Francisco 49ers.
And unless he changes his tune, and he could. Like when he's a free agent and there's a whole new deal to negotiate there, that's a different story in my mind. But when you just signed a deal a year ago, you come into camp and you ask for another new contract, the Niners are done handing those out, in my opinion, unless you're absolutely the number one most important player on this team. And Jauan Jennings, as important as he is nowhere near that.
I mean, you are not wrong. Jauan is like on the offense. You have Christian McCaffrey. I guess you can put Brock Purdy in there too. So Brock, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Ricky Pearsall. Those are your top four. Is Jauan, you like to think he's more important than, at least currently, Brian Robinson. So Jauan's the fifth guy. But then once Ayuk comes back, he's the sixth guy. And once DeMarcus Robinson comes back, where does he fit into? Like where does that put Jauan? Like Jauan could be the seventh or the sixth most important guy on the offense. And if that's the case, you don't usually pay those guys. And we didn't even bring up Trent Williams yet.
Yep.
Or Jake Brendel, which I don't love Jake Brendel, but
or
he's still an important guy. He plays center, right? Right now, Connor Colby. Just like Jauan, to me, is much closer to the 11th most important player on the offense than number one. Which, that doesn't mean Jauan's a bad player. Jauan was tremendous last year.
Amazing.
He was phenomenal in that playoff run in 2023, but the San Francisco 49ers have openly said to Tim Kawakami of the San Francisco Standard that the timing of this is not good for them. That, to me, either means they're going to let this thing linger throughout the entirety of the season and Jauan can play or he cannot, or you're not going to see Jauan Jennings as a San Francisco 49er ever again, which I don't see that happening. I don't think you trade Jauan Jennings before week one unless roster cutdown day gets tricky and Jauan's out the door.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners stared a wide receiver room that has the following injuries. Ayuk with an ACL and everything in his knee that blew up. He's going to be out till the middle of the year. Jauan Jennings dealing with the calf and contract thing. Demarcus Robinson suspended 3 games. Russell Gage, who you hope to not have to rely on, but sprained his MCL. Jordan Watkins, high ankle sprain, will miss definitely the beginning of the regular season. And now Jacob Cowing, who's going to miss multiple weeks. Shanahan said like 6 weeks. They had all those issues in their wide receiver room. Their healthy receivers were Ricky Pearsall, Robbie Chosen, Isaiah Hodgins, Junior Bergen, Malik Turner, and Malik Knowles. And they said, instead of going back to the negotiating table with Jauan Jennings, they said, let's acquire a wide receiver that can't catch the football. Like, there will never be a moment where Jauan Jennings has more leverage than he did last week before Sky Moore was acquired, and even that was not enough for the Niners to say, all right, Jauan, fine, you win. Here's the new contract. Let's just get back to practice, please. We need you come week 1. I don't see a moment where the Niners feel so desperately for Jauan that it goes past that level of desperation, and as a result, I don't see them giving the money to Jauan that he wants in order to bring him back. I really don't.
But that's what makes me feel like the calf injury is real, and it is severe, because they don't want to pay an injured player. They don't want to pay him, and then all of a sudden, pop, and it's like, who is Jauan Jennings ever again? Like, that to me is where things stand, which maybe I'm wrong and maybe you're right, which, okay, that doesn't matter to me. Like, oh, great. Like, we're all in the same boat. Jauan's not playing either way.
Just get back to the team, Jauan, please.
Literally, like, come on. But to me, that does make me feel like that the injury is real, that they don't want to pay a player that's 27, 28 years old that wants 12 to 16, whatever $million more than he's currently getting for the next 3 years, and are saying, we don't know if you're going to make it past week 5 if we pay you, and we don't want to be, contractually connected to you for the next 3 years, knowing that you may be on the shelf for a long time, which they're already doing with Brandon Ayuk.
Interesting. I don't know how it's going to all play out, but we're now 15 days away from week 1 in Seattle on a Sunday. It's crazy how close it is. Every time that Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch asked about it, I feel like I can sense the frustration growing. And at a certain point, he's going to need to get back to practice if he's going to be available for week 1. Like, this could get sorted out, and he's available, or he's ready, and he's healthy, and he's good to go come week 1. But remember how rough it was for Ayuk early last year when he missed all of training camp and did not play in the preseason? We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Sterling, that's all the time we have today. The next time you and I talk on these airwaves, it will be for real. Overtime, week number 1, Niners in Seattle versus the Seahawks 15 days from today. I'm looking forward to it, buddy.
Yay!
We have been counting down the days, the weeks, the months until week 1 of the NFL season. Happy to be back with you for another year on Overtime, and happy to be talking some real San Francisco 49er football in about 2 weeks or so.
God, I'm so glad the preseason is over. Oh, my God. This is a painful preseason.
Only one more thing can make me happy. You know what it is, Mark?
What is that?
If they cut Jake Moody.
That was mean. That was mean-spirited. It's a rude
we have
way
to end the show on a high note.
That was a low note. I hope Jake Moody's not listening.
Like Kyle Shanahan say, we do not discriminate on overtime.
That's
if
true.
you're not good, see you later.
Yeah. He doesn't like to talk to anybody. Shanahan, not just kickers.
I'm not a doctor, so possibly.
Oh, Kyle. All right, Kyle, we'll see you in 15 days. Sterling, I'll see you in 15 days. For Sterling, for Steven behind the glass, I'm Mark Randy signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in. Next time we talk to you on Overtime, it's after week 1 in Seattle. Looking forward to it. Have a good night, and thanks for hanging out on this Saturday evening on 95.7 The Game.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief